However, you have been showing up in this connection with this person with the energy of the Eight of Wands in terms of ways in which you've been very authentic, or you've held space for this person to open up about their personal truths, express their emotions, or move out of a performative or even kind of a stiff energy into something that is more relaxed and natural. You are helping this person to feel more deeply within the core essence of who they are, that the two of you are truly meant for one another. This is somebody that it feels like was very attracted to you when they first met you, and they knew that they had certain like fears or a lot of baggage from past relationships, past connections, but they thought that was all water under the bridge, that they had moved beyond that substantially enough that it seemed like a good idea to approach you or to accept your invitation or offer if you were the one that made the first move towards them. And before they knew it, it's like all these fears kind of surfaced, or things didn't progress forward as rapidly as they thought they would. This is somebody who it feels like felt very self-conscious about the fact that it's like, I know that I led strong, or I was very excited when you took the lead initially, and then I've kind of stumbled along the way. Or somebody that might have even kind of gone into freeze mode, where they were just very like, okay, I want this. I sense this connection between the two of us, but I'm trying to make myself take steps forward or to remain very open and present with our exchanges with one another. And yet something inside of me is like frozen, is like holding me back. It feels like your patience with this person, ways in which you have kind of led by example in terms of shifting gears, maybe redirecting the focus upon yourself, or even kind of expressing to this person your needs very clearly, or adjusting like the tone, the temperament, and kind of the expectation on your side of the equation as far as how things are progressing, like how quickly. This is something that is very effectively has like created a warm place between the two of you, where this person has had an opportunity to kind of honor sort of the natural reaction within their body. There's a lot of desire for you, and yet there's something which is kind of like holding them back internally. This is somebody that is easing into the experience with you, into the process of like, I can keep showing up authentically as I am, not just put in bare minimum effort, but on the days when I feel I can be very talkative, or that there can be a lot of engagement between the two of us, then I'm going to go for that. On the days when I would like to take steps forward, but the urge inside is for me to kind of just tuck away, go into hermit mode, sit very still, or even just observe with not a lot to say. They've honored that as well. And so this is something that they're getting a lot of positive feedback from you. You're going with the flow of that. It's like the two of you are doing this dance where you're taking turns kind of leading and following. And this is giving this person a lot of encouragement to continue, to look towards this situation with you optimistically, to trust in this process as it's unfolding, to trust in this kind of inclination that they have inside, that you have not come into their life as somebody who's merely supposed to be a lesson, but you may have been that blessing that they've been progressing towards this whole time. But instead of a blessing that can just be like snatched up and seized up really quickly, it's something where it's almost like they feel themselves kind of merging with that potential, merging with that higher timeline, where things are then blossoming very beautifully beyond what is currently the case between the two of you. We also have the Four of Pentacles. So it feels like when you cross paths with this person, a big part of them was just sort of resigned to like love stories working out really well. That's something that has passed me by, or the best days are kind of behind me, and so I'll be happy if I can have connection with somebody, but I don't have my sights set too high, my expectations aren't too high. This is somebody who had learned to kind of just like being alone. They'd come to peace with that. They'd come to a place of acceptance, almost like detachment from what for a very long time prior to meeting you had been kind of like a howling loneliness inside. There was this yearning, there was this ache for companionship, for partnership, not tons of options and like, hey, you got your pick, so just kind of sow those oats wherever, and that's how you win in life. But this is somebody it feels like that is like, I just want my person. I just want my special someone. I just want that one individual that's going to stick with me through the years, going to stick with me through thick and thin, is going to like who I am and what I have to offer, and is not just going to say that they like that up front, but is going to continue to remain very true to that. Or times where I might not be showing up as everything that they want, that they're not just going to make like plans and preparations to sort of hightail it out in another direction, but that this is somebody that's going to communicate that we're going to work through things, that we're going to find a way to kind of reinvigorate our connection with one another, because it can't all be just like a straight path forward. And their experiences in romance in the past, it feels like, had consistently led to letdowns, because when you met them they were single, nothing had worked out with other people, and it feels like they'd put a lot of things to rest, they'd created peace for themselves or acceptance within themselves about those situations. But this is somebody who was very kind of attached to all of that work, or maybe even just time that it took to come to a place of peace and detachment with what had for a long time been this hope for like a deep love, true love, even like a soulmate, just like one person. It feels like it's a very deeply loyal person. When they give their heart to someone, they make a commitment to someone, they see that through. This is the kind of person that's like, yeah, if I get married, we're sticking together till the end. I'm not just going to bail out. I'm not going to be, having a wandering eye and looking for someone else. When I make that commitment, I intend to see that through. And that is something that it feels like had not been necessarily reciprocated. That same kind of intention or promises made that were broken by other people that they'd been dealing with prior to you entering their life. And so when you came in, it's like this person lit up inside. They got very intrigued, very like, okay, here's someone that I'm attracted to. We have a connection. There's a spark. There seems to be something happening. But as much as there is this intention to kind of look towards you in this situation with fresh eyes, or with that determination of like, hey, let's make this work. Let's figure this out. They also brought with them almost kind of like what would be defined, it almost feels like something you could define as like a third party, which third parties don't always have to be other people. It can be energies, it can be mindsets, it can be different circumstances that fall into that category of like a third party. So you were meeting this person in like the wholeness of all that they are, but this third party energy was that kind of like resolution within, that detachment that it feels like had shaped their character in certain ways, or their personality, or just kind of like the routines, the habits in their life, kind of this energy of like, I must have missed out on love somewhere, or maybe love just wasn't in the cards for me, that deep and lasting and true experience of love that I've heard about, I've read about in books, I've seen in movies and TV, maybe other people around me have these like really great relationships, or times where they've been through really difficult things, but they figured it out, they stuck it out, they're still together. This is somebody that feels like that wanted that really, really long-term partnership with someone. Like, I get married and I stay with that person till the end. That was their dream. That was their vision. That is like what they wanted. It's how they've conducted themselves as far as romance is concerned, likely for most of their life. And so because that hadn't turned out the way they wanted, or hadn't showed up for them yet, when you came into the equation, it's like all of that sort of like, I guess that dream, that desire is not coming true. It crystallized into sort of like a thought form within them that is the essence of that detachment, or that acceptance, or that surrender, and it represents a third party. So this person has been kind of like letting that go. The more that they move towards you, they take one step towards you, and it's a process of also kind of releasing that energy which was sort of with them, like within them. If there hadn't been, another person in the equation that was like the long-term partner, somebody where it's like we make that promise together and we see it out, then it's like that space beside them where there should have been a counterpart, a spouse, a mate, a partner, that kind of a thing, that it was filled with this energy of true peace, true detachment, true acceptance. This isn't somebody that has like bitterness. It's kind of just like they'd reached a place of neutrality as far as that segment of their life was concerned. So every step they've taken towards you, it's something where they've almost had to like say goodbye. Almost might have been like a bittersweet experience, or something with that idea of kind of their body going into like freeze mode, a part of them that is like, wait, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone into something very wonderful, something potentially very beautiful, but it requires me to leave behind that comfort of how I've come to a place of acceptance with everything that hasn't worked out in love before. And that detachment, that peace, that kind of surrender that has been something that has gotten them through some very dark times, very lonely times. This might be somebody who has been single for like a very long time, years or decades. This isn't somebody that just kind of like crystallized that because they're like, oh, I haven't been in a relationship for 6 months, so, I'm okay on my own. Hey, I've been celibate for a year, so I'm learning to kind of like love my loneliness. No, this is somebody that is like, this is a long term energy where it's like they've been their own best friend in that sense for a very long time. And so as much as they like want something with you, it's also a process of kind of like shedding that third party energy inside of them, which in this case it feels like it served them well. It wasn't a negative thing. It was better than wallowing or becoming embittered, to cultivate that energy of peace and surrender. But they know that they need to let that go in order to welcome in and to show up for you and what can develop between the two of you in a more open manner. And maybe for you as well, you may be going through a little of this. You two could be mirroring each other in that sense, where it's like every step you take towards you kind of, not so much your past, but almost some aspect within self that is that kind of self-love you might have need to cultivate, as well as they needed to cultivate in the absence of like another flesh and blood person that was reciprocating, showing up, being very consistent, in all the ways it was like serving your highest good. And so you made a choice somewhere along the line. I'm not going to shut my heart. I'm not going to become embittered. I'm going to keep that hope alive that somewhere out there, if love's meant for me, I will intersect with that. And in the meantime, that empty seat beside me, it's filled up with love of self. This is the energy of almost like filling one's own cup, becoming that two of cups, that soulmate to yourself. But now that this other person has showed up, like you showed up for them, they've showed up for you, there's a sense of almost kind of releasing that energy of surrender and peace, so that that seat beside you is moved into a place of vacancy where this other flesh and blood person can now take up like their rightful place, can occupy that place beside you. So they're going through something like that, and this may even be something that kind of clues you in to like a little of that could be going on within yourself, or maybe something to just be kind of aware of, as far as like before you get too judgy about like their process or how they're moving in this situation. That this is somebody, it feels like that they've got their sights set on you, you've piqued their interest, they want more with you, but they can't just push themselves forward. There's a desire to like rush in, and kind of sweep you off your feet and be like highly romantic in some sort of way. But there's also the sense of like they have to just kind of let go of the hand of this sort of, place of surrender that again has really nurtured them, has kept this part of themselves that is capable of love, of giving love and receiving love. It's kept that place alive in this period of time where you both have been living your lives and kind of like reaching the point in your timeline and in your journey where this opportunity between the two of you exists. Yeah, we got the Knight of Wands. So this is definitely, again, somebody that like sees you as this like beacon of light, this person that they want to continue to move towards. This is something that even at this point in time where there's challenges, where there are days that they can just kind of show up and be very present in terms of their 3D actions and even just energetically, and times where you may feel that energy become very quiet. You may sort of feel around in your energy, kind of like, where did you go? And it's that they've kind of moved into that place of how they were existing before you came in and like turned their world upside down in the best possible way. They are sitting with that energy, that third party essence within, which is kind of the crystallized thought form of that concept of like, I need to just come to peace with everything that hasn't worked out for me romantically in the past. I need to just surrender that like this is part of the greater plan, or I'm making the best of it, or I'm not going to let this kind of like dampen my experience and my joy of this beautiful life that I'm living in other ways, just because there's not somebody to share it with. It's like this person doesn't run off very far. They kind of just settle back into themselves. And so this may be kind of an opportunity for you to sort of feel into that, acquaint yourself with this part of them, that it feels like that third party energy isn't like it's not a jealous frequency. It's not something that's like, stay away, this person just belongs in this place of like loneliness. It's almost like this crystallized thought form, this embodiment of surrender, which has taken shape inside of them. It is very welcoming of your presence. It releases this person with love. It's like this person just has to kind of like let go and take steps forward towards you. That this part of them was always just kind of like a placeholder, sort of waiting for you to come into their life so that true companionship with another flesh and blood person could begin, so that they could step into the light of what love and partnership should be. That as tough as this may be, or as kind of like new and out of the box from things you've experienced with other people this might be, this almost feels like a time of like you're reaching beyond the space of the material, and there's an opportunity to kind of honor more of these subtle aspects of one another. This is the realm of the shadow. This is something that this person wouldn't kind of like, oh yeah, so my loneliness kind of took on a form inside of itself within me, but it helped me to not be embittered. So that's why when, I'm able to kind of like be with you, show up when the energy's on point, and we're really vibing with one another, that's why it's so radiant. Because this part of me, this kind of embodied surrender that took place after whatever the trail of heartbreak that they've kind of like come through in their past looks like, that has kind of cocooned them, it's sheltered them, it's protected this beautiful light inside of them that now comes to the surface, that recognizes that complementary essence, that frequency inside of you, that soulmate frequency, and wants so much to align with you, not just on an energetic level or emotionally, but actually. This is somebody that even in the times where they kind of were just like sitting within that comfort zone of how they were postured inside of themselves before you came in and made them see beauty in the world, like right in front of them, just for them, something, a blessing, a person, just with their name on it. Like they understand you're just for them. That this is something that it feels like has inspired this person of like, yeah, this is what I was waiting for. This is what this kind of cocoon has been sort of saving me for, or I've been kind of becoming a version of myself within it that emerges now, that reaches for you now, that keeps sight of you in this connection, even on the days where all I can do is just be still and observe, where I'm honoring kind of my own fears of getting it wrong, fears of things going wonderfully right, and that kind of being taken away or withdrawn in some sort of way. This person could have like a fear of abandonment, a fear of kind of like, if this happens, if it gets underway and I'm just in the midst of this delicious experience between the two of us, what if you just up and decide one day that you don't love me anymore, or you found someone else, you've fallen out of love with me? Those could have all been things that they were like told by other people in the past. And so they're negotiating with that, they're navigating with that, they're taking this connection at face value, but they are also recognizing that there's a component within them that wants this so much, and yet they understand what it took to kind of like come to that place of surrender within, to crystallize almost that acceptance of sort of everything that's happened in the past, to come to peace with that so they could continue living their life to the fullest in the here and now, enjoying other things, showing up for other areas of their life, as best as they could. And now here's this opportunity to embark on that kind of like deep wish that they had, that long held desire for that true partnership, that person they could be so fiercely loyal to, that would be so fiercely loyal back, that no matter what the ups and downs of life looked like, everything would be okay because you would have one another. Like that's how this person thinks of love, and they look at love, and they recognize in this situation with you, actually and energetically, that there is more potential for that to happen maybe than has ever been the case looking back on previous partnerships. And certainly they have not felt this way about anyone that has shown interest in them or that they've been attracted to in quite some time. So this is somebody that is consistently moving towards you in the times where they are a bit quiet, and also in the times where they are very loud and obvious. This is somebody that is like, I am going about this with fortitude. I'm not becoming discouraged. I'm not letting go of your hand. I'm reaching for you with everything inside of myself, and I deeply appreciate your understanding of the process. That it's like, if I could snap my fingers and we're living in happily ever after tomorrow, I would do that. But we're here in the material world working with what we have to work with, actually, and in terms of these kind of like energies within, in order to embark upon this kind of like new and more fulfilling experience of romance, at least on their side of the equation, and likely in a way that is mirrored with you. It requires kind of like saying farewell with love and with gratitude to that energy of surrender, which has kept the two of you, kept that light in your heart intact for this exact moment where you cross paths with one another, and there's the opportunity to build and to experience the type of love that comes closer to living in a dream in the here and now than you've ever been in before. And at the very least, then you've been in it a while. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.